And I'm gonna call the November 25th City of Horicon Council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Christine? Here. Jim?
Here.
Doris?
Here.
Lisa? Yeah. Marie? Here. Joyce?
Here.
Anyone that can, please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to act on the council minutes of October 28th, November 6th, and November 10th?
Second.
Any comments? All right, if not, clerk, please call the roll.
Jim?
Aye.
Bryce?
Aye.
Christine? Aye. Doris?
Aye.
Lisa? Aye. Marie? Aye.
All right, do we have any public appearances? Cody, is there any names on the list? Nope. All right, last call for public appearances. All right, if not, moving on, I am opening a public hearing for the 2026 budget. Any comments or concerns on the 2026 budget?
Make a motion to close the public hearing. Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bryce?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Christine? Aye. Doris?
Aye.
Lisa? Aye. Marie? Aye.
Looking for a motion to act on the ordinance 2025-22. This ordinance adopts the 2026 budget and the 2025 tax levy for the city of Horicon.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Yes. All right. Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Doris?
Aye.
Bryce?
Aye.
Marie? Aye. Lisa? Aye.
Aye.
Christine? Aye.
Approved. Next, we're acting on a notice of an award for the 2025 wastewater treatment facility upgrade.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the base bid for the 2025 wastewater treatment facility upgrade.
Second.
What's the amount of that bid?
Go ahead.
It was 28.8 and some change. Which was under, we were expecting around 32.
Who's the contractor?
Contractor would be J.H. Hassinger. Subs would be August Winters, Peeper Power, LW Allen.
Joe, do you want to share with Forrest what you expected it to be? Because you wrote that number on the wall.
Yeah, I remember us talking about it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I remember
Because
this.
I can't remember what you wrote now.
Rough numbers, you're looking at $3 million under what our expectations were.
We expected the bid number to be just over 32 million. There was 5 bids, all from pretty qualified contractors that we're familiar with. The low bid was, as Cody's looking up here, I believe it was, yeah, can you say what it was?
$28,849,000.
Excuse me, and then all the bids were roughly within like $1 million of each other. So it went from like 28.8 to like 33.5, let's call it, which is a typical distribution for a project like this. I think the bids were as good as you could have expected them to be.
We were sitting there, and we were sitting there with only 2 bids with 5-6 minutes left, and then 3 came in. And I remember your guys' shock that we actually, as a city our size, got 5 bids.
I expected 2. I would have been very happy with 3. If you told me there was more than 3, I would have been on the moon. So
5 is great.
Yeah, 5 is great.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions for the MSA team and Cody? All right, now clerk, please call the roll.
Jim?
Aye.
Christine? Aye. Doris?
Aye.
Lisa? Aye. Marie? Aye. Bryce?
Aye.
Next, we're to act on the professional services agreement from the MSA for the Horicon wastewater treatment facility construction related services.
Make a motion to accept the agreement from MSA Professional Services for the wastewater treatment construction related services.
Second.
Is there anything, comments on the services that are being provided?
I guess, are there any questions that we can answer?
And all this was reviewed by the attorney as well.
Correct. All right, hearing none, clerk please call the roll.
Jim.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
Marie. Aye. Lisa. Aye. Forrest.
Aye.
Christie. Aye.
Next, we're looking for a motion on a professional services agreement from MSA for the 2026 Clean Water Fund Administration.
So moved. Second.
Any comments on, or you want to say or tell everyone what that is?
Yeah, this is the work that MSA will be doing for, they look at hours, qualifications, there's a whole listing of things, and this is for the clean water funding, so this is that estimated, hopefully, 3.1 million.
Any questions? Hearing none, clerk please call the roll.
Bryce.
Aye.
Forrest.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Christine. Aye. Lisa. Aye. Marie. Aye.
All right, and with amazing timing.
Yes.
The 2025 preliminary financing plan presented by our friends at Ayers.
All righty. Thank you for having us. I'm Brian Raymer, Senior Municipal Advisor with Ellers. I also have Ariana Schmidt with me, who's a Municipal Advisor as well. So we're going to go through the packet materials that were included with your packet and our presentation on some financing ideas. So if you flip to the first page, kind of the why we're here. One, we're looking to review some interim financing options for the upcoming Clean Water Fund loan. You have a state loan for some of your sewer improvements coming up, which is a great opportunity to get a subsidized interest rate with the state. However, that kind of takes some time. So as you may know, you've already expended a significant amount of costs, about $1.6 million. So this interim financing would accomplish two things. Help reimburse yourself so your year-end audit looks healthy in terms of you haven't drained down that fund balance completely. In addition to that, take care of the opportunity to pay for those costs until that loan is available to you. So we'll review those options. Secondly, we'll look at options for 2025 GO notes, and those would be to reimburse the 2025 capital improvement plan, which includes the fire truck and Walnut Street improvements. So that's what we'll be going through. On the next page, the Clean Water Fund loan interim financing options is reads at the top. We do have at the back of this presentation kind of an appendix that identifies, typically how communities view this financing and why certain options are more advantageous. But just to summarize, generally you want flexibility with limited costs of financing. So really what we're looking at there is a drawable kind of fixed rate loan with principal and interest due at maturity. So what we mean there is at some point in time when the state's ready, engineer helps you submit all these fund documents to the state to get this subsidized loan. You want to make sure that you don't have any interim payments along the way. So the state program doesn't let you reimburse those all the time. Specifically, if you have any principal payments, they do not allow you to reimburse those. So some communities will do capitalized interest. In my mind, that adds borrowing costs to borrow for an interest payment. So I just say, why not have the maturity due sometime after that loan would be taken out, right? So you don't have any payments before you would flip that loan into your long-term solution. So that's what I mean by principal and interest due at maturity and sometime beyond the expected long-term loan closing. The drawable is because, right, we don't exactly know when the contractor is, going to bill us everything for the project. So you can kind of withhold some interest costs by making it drawable. In addition to that, generally depending on the amount that you're looking at, and right now, as I mentioned, you need to kind of reimburse the 1.6 million. There's an expectation that there could be some pretty healthy expenditures to loan closing in approximately about 6 to 8 million. So we're probably looking at about an $8 million drawable loan here. Might be a good idea to kind of send out a proposal to banks and say, who can give us the best interest rate based off of these parameters? You can certainly work with one bank to kind of, whomever you're comfortable with. Just note, obviously hard to tell whether or not you get the best deal if you're just talking to one bank. But certainly understand if you have a comfortable relationship, you can work with one bank. So, and then the other thing that there is a program out there for rural water. The one thing that is disadvantageous is it does require that capitalized interest. So you are paying, excess interest costs on that capitalized interest. So generally we see the RFP to lenders with the terms that we've discussed here. And then again, that appendix in the back explains it probably in too much detail, but if you're curious on kind of how we arrive at that through all the financing options, we wanted to provide that level of detail. Then on the geo notes, this is looking at your current debt structure is the slide that I'm on, wherein this is all of your existing general obligation debt and the payments by year. So this actually goes back to 2024. What we have is in the first column, it's your total general obligation debt. Then you have other sources beyond the levy that helps pay for this debt. Your water utility, your sewer utility, and 2 tax incremental districts. In addition to that, you have a premium deposit that helped pay the payment last year. But then in the middle column, you'll see net tax levy. That's what you expect to levy in order to make these debt payments. And next to that, there's a levy change from prior year. So your current debt structure without any new debt has a jump from 2025 to 2026 of about $100,000. A lot of that is due to that premium deposit to debt service that happened with an old financing, wherein you were, they paid cash up front in that deal that allows the underwriter to get slightly higher interest rates, so it's more marketable on the open market. But one thing is it kind of does cause a bit of a wonky debt profile in terms of, right, we had this big deposit sitting there that could reduce the levy, and then obviously now that goes away. So knowing that, the reason we wanted to show you this is we kind of want a structure to reimburse yourself for these 2025 projects, not having a payment in 2026. So this isn't simply walking down to the bank and say, hey, give us a loan. Typically they come down and say, all right, here's level P&I or here's level payments. Now it's $100,000 plus whatever those payments are. So this might be a good opportunity to go to the bank with a certain structure. So that's kind of why we wanted to show this and why we're saying we would recommend going to the bank with a structure in hand. Can you give us a loan with this amortization schedule? So then on the next page, talk about some of the financing options. So this slide reads GeoNotes financing options. We're just kind of going through some of the vehicles that are available to you. So thinking about a state trust fund loan, which is the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands as a loan program. It's very easy to go attain money, but I would argue it's just as easy to go down to the local bank or a series of local banks and ask for money as well. But just thinking about the difference between the two, the state trust fund loan does have a very limited structure. You really can't ask for a lot of maneuverability there. In addition to that, the local banks often beat that interest rate. They kind of use that as their benchmark and offer something a little better. And then local banks will also offer the same prepayment allowance. So the nice thing about the state trust fund loan, it's always prepayable, but local banks typically offer that same prepayment. The other thing that we wanted to mention, if you guys have issued out in the open market, you're not really looking at a loan amount that would warrant paying third parties like us or bond counsel just to go out in the open market and get that would be the lowest interest rate, but the cost of issuance would just be so high, it wouldn't make sense to go do that. It's still the total cost of capital would not be as advantageous than a state trust fund loan or a local bank. So on the next page, some considerations. So this reads Geo notes, financing options, considerations. Go to the local bank or larger lists, if you want to send it to several banks with those structured terms, ask them to bid and, ask them to say, we want this papered on your banker's forms. The reason for that is you can obviously have us draw up a term sheet, have your bond counsel draw up the resolutions. That adds costs, right? It's more work for us, it's more work for bond counsel. So we have seen success going to local banks and just saying, we want it on the banker's forms, but we just need this structure, help us out with the structure. So we just say, choose a list of banks, whether that's one or more, structure the debt around your existing, right? So we're going to show you the structure that we would recommend going to the banks, and then award to the lowest cost of financing. If you send it to several banks, you just say, hey, send us your interest rate. It's going to be fixed on this structured deal. And then also send us your fees to close. Some of those will respond with no fees, some will respond with fees. And then you just choose, right, the lowest cost of financing. The other thing is that we just wanted to mention, sometimes if you send to multiple banks or banks you don't have a deposit relationship with, they'll say, hey, we'll do this. And sometimes you'll be like, holy crap, that's a good rate. But then at the bottom, it's like, must require a new deposit relationship of $100,000. Not my favorite thing if, you're just saying, okay, now you're just doing this for a relationship. At the same time, if you're willing to do that, totally okay. It's just one thing we wanted to bring up. It just came up in another community where they did this, they sent a structured deal to a series of local banks. One of the banks came back with an attractive interest rate, but they were like, can you send us $500,000? And this is a very small community. They go, we only have $100,000 in the bank. So no, we can't. So, just kind of understand you might get some wonky things with that. What we're really focused on though is rate and then fees. So if you do send it to multiple banks. So then on the next page, this is just showing you the size. So, your capital projects, Walnut Street and the fire truck, you need about $702,820 in terms of to reimburse yourselves. In order for us to kind of help you with this, we would charge our minimum fee, which is $7,500. We just put in a bank fee number just to kind of make sure there could be, somebody that comes back with pretty significant fees. Typically, it's around $500 to close a loan for bank fees, but I just kind of put that in there to have a little buffer, and then you can just downsize that. If somebody comes back with zero fees, that number goes to zero. And the total par amount goes down by $2,000. So right now that's a loan for $712,320. Then on the right-hand side, you can see the structure that we would recommend. Again, this is all to kind of go in with your existing debt profile. So which I'll kind of show on the next page. And the 5% is just literally doing this with another community a week ago, and we'll see what the rates come in at, what you get, but maybe you beat 5%, maybe it's a little higher, but again, that's kind of where we would come in and kind of negotiate with the banks on the city's behalf. So on the next slide that reads Geo Notes Financing Options Tax Impact. All we're doing here is we're showing on the left-hand side in blue, that's that same existing debt profile that I showed a couple of slides ago. And then on the right-hand side is the proposed debt, right, with that structuring that we talked about, with the main goal of trying not to have that increase beyond 2026 get too much higher. So, the increases still happen, but it's just, they were happening anyway, but they're just smaller than the 100,000, and then you still have capacity in the future when you start seeing those negative numbers. And I'm looking at the column that reads levy change from prior year. That's the main one you need to focus on. Our goal is always to have a flat levy as much as possible, because we don't care what the values come in at. The taxes will be the same or cheaper, right? Presuming the values keep increasing either with new homes or new assessments. So that's just kind of note how we're looking at that. One other thing here that I just mentioned real quick, at the bottom in the levy change from prior year, you'll see there's still two numbers that are actually positive. This is due to an existing debt profile that amortizes longer than the new loan, so we can't change that. But as I mentioned to city staff and the mayor, as we were talking through this, we would restructure that in a new debt financing, like in 2030 or something like that. I would actually have the principal go down and structure that out. So that's just a minor detail. But I know sometimes that comes up like, is this new loan causing the blip at the end? That's actually not the case. It's the existing debt, but I would just say we would structure that out. We did actually do that with the 2036 year. You can kind of see your existing debt profile that goes up by $3,600, and then with this new debt added, it actually goes down by $120,000. So the goal would be to kind of keep that flat or decreasing, and we continue to try to structure that out as new loans are taken out. And then on the bottom right of this page, somebody asked, hey, how much is it costing me? I had a sample property owner of $200,000 property. How much is it costing me to pay for Walnut Street in the fire truck? $463.77. So that's your answer, kind of like how much does it cost me as a $200,000? You can obviously change that, right, to kind of figure out the mill rate there, but that's just an identifier to kind of say sometimes you get that key question, and that's a key statistic to share. So on the next page, we're just showing, this reads Geo Notes, Financing Options, Geo Debt Capacity. You are limited by state statute that you can only have 5% of your total equalized value outstanding in general obligation debt. So what we're showing is kind of what percent of limit you're at there, of that limit, and then what your residual capacity is. So for example, when you take out this loan, at year end 25, you'll still have $8.9 million of geo debt capacity. And then that grows as you amortize debt over time. So again, that's a limit, not a goal. That's my favorite finance joke for municipalities. This is to say you want to keep that capacity, right? If you have unknown projects that come up, you always want to have some capacity there. So you're only at, you still have about 8.9 million when you take out this loan. So to conclude, we can have a conversation on kind of the financing routes. If you want a list of banks, I did provide that. I do have a separate handout that I can hand out the list of banks. We don't act as a broker dealer, so we can't say work with this bank, not that bank. So you kind of say, hey, if you want to send it out to multiple banks, can you send it to the list that you have in the past? That's the list that I have with me tonight. So we can work with city staff to send to multiple banks or send to one bank, whatever you guys decide after you start talking about it. We'd recommend you receive the bids kind of the day before your next council meeting. So you send out an email, tomorrow or, sometime in the near future, maybe right after the holiday, and just kind of ask the banks, hey, can you send us back any interest rate and any fees to close? And then you would award the bid at the next council meeting and adopt the resolution so you have these financings in place. So with that, I can take any questions or let you guys discuss.
Do you have any questions? You gave everything you needed.
Yeah, good explanation, thank you.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda, we have looking for a motion to act on the interim financing options for the CWFL.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, instead of any discussion.
All right, if not, clerk, please call the roll.
Forrest.
Aye.
Christie. Aye. Jim.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
Marie. Aye. Lisa.
Aye.
All right, next we're acting on the financing for the 2025 GO notes.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All right, if not, clerk, please call the roll.
Forrest.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Marie.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
Christie. Aye.
All right, we're moving to committee reports. You start personnel and finance, Forrest.
Personal Finance met November 17th, 5:30, elements present here at City Hall. We approved our minutes for last month. We had a motion for hiring new EMS personnel, a motion for an advancement in the water wastewater department. We had a motion to approve ballistic vests to be ordered, a motion to increase the fee for the operator's license. We had a motion to approve the Medicare contract. Another motion to approve a patrol rifle purchase. We approved our bills and our financial statement for October. We set the next meeting for December 17th at 6 o'clock here at City Hall and adjourned into closed session at 6:15 p.m.
Thank you. Next, we have the Public Works and Development Committee. Jim,
There was no meeting.
Public Safety, Marie.
Public safety met November 11th. Everybody was there. We have a motion for the minutes. Public appearances, we had 6 individuals appeared to express concerns related to traffic and pedestrian safety on Woodward Drive. We did a discussion on pedestrian safety, discussion on crossing safety, crosswalk safety. Police Chief Birkin provided a monthly update. EMS Assistant Coordinator Guterberg provided a monthly update. The next meeting is December 9th at 6 o'clock. A motion to adjourn.
Park and Rec, Bryce.
Park and Rec is called to order at 12:19 p.m. by Chairperson Remy. Present was Remy Kulanbuki, absent was Arlington Sullivan. There was no public appearances. We made a motion to approve the batting cage location in District Park. We also made a motion to approve the Scouting America Troop donation of a Gaga ball pit. We also made a motion to approve the Horicon Little Library policy, and then we adjourned at 12:24 p.m.
Thank you. Planning Commission, Lisa.
Planning Commission met on November 10th. Members, everyone was present except Harold Vanderheide. Also in attendance was Deanna Dickerson and Alex Williams. There was a motion by Amundson to accept the minutes of July 14th, and Cody Vanderheide seconded it. Motion by Cody Vanderheide, second by Westmeyer, to act on the site plan review for John Deere Waterworks building mural on North Vine Street, signs 1, 2, and 3. There was a voice vote. Everyone voted aye except Biederman abstained. Motion by Westmeyer, second by Magnuson, to have public hearing prior to the Zoning Board of Appeals. All voted in favor. A motion to adjourn, second by Herring, voice all in favor of adjourning. We did have a second meeting that was held on November 19th. The Planning Commission met at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Members present was Moss, Sullivan, Gollenbeck, Magnuson, Westmeyer, Vanderheide, and Harold Vanderheide. Members missing were Amundson, Herring, and Biederman. Biederman did arrive at 1:02. Motion by Vanderheide, second by Gollenbeck, to recommend to Common Council the street name Curry Lane for proposed street located near South Finch Street in Hillcrest subdivision. There was a voice vote. Everyone voted. Sullivan abstained. Motion to adjourn by Vanderheide, second by Westermeyer. All in favor. Meeting adjourned at 1:08 p.m.
Thank you, Lisa. Library report, Alex.
Not much to report today. Sorry. The library board will be entertaining opening the position next month. That'll be on our agenda to help for a smooth transition to how that pans out over the next few months. I'm looking at a March retirement. And then I did want to compliment the state of Wisconsin while I was here because they have started actually giving some ministerial help to all of the libraries of the state. So they have started this policy of the month program, which I absolutely think is a godsend for all librarians. We are able to go through our policies to be able to check off all the things that should be included in our policies. And I think that that is upgrading libraries across the state to make sure that we're all operating in 2025 as compared to possibly 20 years ago. Remember how policies can kind of get left on the wayside if you're not paying attention. And then lastly, from the library board, thank you very much for your support of the library in the 2026 budget.
Thank you. As far as my report, I just want to wish everyone Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for all you do. All right. Moving on, I have here mayor's appointment for the exploratory committee for the Jet Fire EMS. And the folks I plan on appointing, given your approval, mayor, council president, fire chief, acting EMS coordinator, and someone from the public. I got the blessing from Katie Schwartz.
So moved.
Second?
So we in on 22 now?
I was gonna say, don't we do the motion on 22?
Yeah. I mean, that's 22 is acting on the appointment. Thank you. And now that we have a first and second, I just want to go over what I'm trying to do here. One of the things we're looking at is having both the fire and EMS under one admin roof. They're already under one roof anyways. We're looking at options for some cross usage for potentially software resources and most important, people. And look at a way to see if there's a way that we can save money, increase the numbers of EMRs and EMTs that we have here in Horicon, basically to save the existence of our EMS. We saw what happened with Lamira just in the last few weeks. And we have the ability here to, with this committee, bring something to our public safety, bring something to our council as a whole, after we dig through the ordinances and most importantly, dig through the finances to find a way to have one person in charge of both, with there still being ideally a branch that is EMS. So that is, well, I mean, right now, since this is exploratory, we're gonna look at all different ways that we can make this happen. Talk to some of the leadership out there, like at Sun Prairie, like at Darien, and a few others who have recently done this, and see how it's succeeding, have them talk to the committee, because we want this exploratory committee to have something that we can bring to public safety, that we can bring to council as a whole in time for budget next year. There's just too many things, especially with ordinances, that can't be changed overnight. We want to make sure we do this the right way. So that's what we're going to be trying to do with this committee. Any questions for me?
Who's on this committee?
Mayor, council president, fire chief, acting EMS coordinator, and then Katie Schwartz.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Bryce,
Aye.
Marie,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Gord,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Christine.
All right, next. I'm looking for a motion to act on a street name, which is Curry Lane, for the proposed street located in the Hillcrest development.
So moved.
Second.
Now we got a first and second. You want to give us the story of Curry's and Horicon, please? And just for everyone's awareness, Lisa is the one who submitted the application for Curry.
I wanted to honor my dad. My grandfather started Curry's Grocery in, 70 years ago. And he started down on the corner where the parking lot is across from Ginger's. And then my dad took over for my grandpa, and he built the store where the bank is across from the dentist office right now on Main Street. And then he moved out to where Ablite is now until he retired. My dad was the biggest giver in Horicon. He was involved with everything he could possibly get involved in. He was with Rotary, he was in the Legion, he was president of the Legion. He was a color guard, he helped me with Marsh Days for 10 years. He gave so much back. He was on the bank board. And he believed in Horicon. He believed in Horicon growing. And he wanted so much to see Horicon thrive. And I just felt that I would like to honor him by naming the street after him. That's my story.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there any questions for Lisa or about the name? Brenda, please go with it.
Forrest,
Aye.
Bryce,
Aye.
Marie,
Aye.
Lisa,
Abstain.
Jim,
Aye.
Christie.
Aye.
Curry Lane's our next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, Forrest, acting on the hiring of EMS personnel.
All right, make a motion to approve the EMS hiring of Haley Brannick and Renetta Robertson.
Second. You can have it.
You want to tell us about it?
Renetta, we call her Ray, she already works at Lifestar, so she is already an EMT license. And then Haley is brand new to medical altogether. She will be going to school, but is extremely excited to go to school, so. She lives in town. Ray does not live in town. Ray lives in Campbellsport, but wants more experience with 911s. She is scheduled for advanced EMT class coming up in like a month or two, and eventually wants to go paramedic too. So the more experience, the better for her. So
Any questions for Gina or Dustin? Or if not, clerk, please call the roll.
Forrest,
Aye.
Christie.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Marie,
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
All right, next we're gonna act on the advancement of basic wastewater or grade 1 water to basic wastewater, all required subgrades, and water, all required subgrades, grade 1. Forrest.
So the motion is to approve John Goodman from basic wastewater or grade 1 water or basic white. Promoting someone in DPW, the salary of $29.78 effective 10/3/25.
Yeah,
You need some simpler titles.
you approved them.
Yeah,
So
well,
Forrest and Chris.
It's easier to confuse that way.
let's review them after the holiday.
Cody, you want to explain what this upgrade is?
Well, for John,
Yep.
it's just a progression with his schooling. He completed all of his classes and has all of his licensing for his job. So now it's just a waiting game to get to the last step because he needs to have 6 years of experience.
All right, any questions for Cody? Or if not, clerk, please call the roll.
Forrest,
Aye.
Christie. Aye. Jim,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Marie,
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, next, acting on a budget transfer to purchase 2 ballistic vests. Forrest.
Yep, motion to approve a budget transfer of $2,642 from the contingency fund to purchase 2 ballistic vests.
Second.
Chief, these are the ones that are, they're actually aged out.
Yep, they're expired.
All right. Any questions for Chief? All right, if not, clerk, please call the roll.
Forrest,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Christie. Aye. Marie.
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
All right, next we have an action on increasing for operator's license. Forrest?
Yeah, no, $7, Chief, right? Okay. So motion to approve the increased fee for the operator's license by $7.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I don't think, do we have to do anything with the fire and EMS background check? Because that's in the email, or is that not on here?
Well, we don't charge them, right? So that was my question too, because that went up to $50. But we don't charge them because we're going to potentially hire them. So these would just be for like bartender's license and things like that. Our cost is now $7, straight $7 to run them through the works system.
Fire and EMS, that's
Because of
an
the
HR
internal.
experience, you know.
This is like-
So this year we ate all that $7 charge, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure we got it on, so the city's not paying that for people that, want to work in a bar or do that.
Nothing, I just saw it in the email, so I want to make sure.
Yeah, I shouldn't have put that in there, but I put it in one of the emails earlier.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Chief? All right, if not, clerk, please call the roll.
Forrest,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Christine.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Marie.
Aye.
Marie.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna act on a Medicare 5-year contract to include the funding Forest.
Who's that funding?
Medicare, 5-year.
Coming out of contingency.
Is it contingency? So make a motion to approve the Medicare 5-year contract, the funding that come from contingency fund.
Second.
Someone give some background on that for the meeting?
I can do that. Michelle was notified that our contract was a yearly contract with Medicare. She's upgrading it to a 5-year contract. And that's why we're pulling it out of contingency. It's just something for ambulance to have.
Roger that. All right, any questions for Chris? All right, not clerk, please call the roll.
Forrest.
Aye.
Christine. Aye. Jim.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
Marie.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
All right, next we're gonna act on the purchase of a patrol rifle to include the funding Forest.
Motion to approve purchase of patrol rifle contingency fund in the amount of $1,680.
Second.
So that's that money coming out of the budget, that's the money we raised for NNO. Clerk Spilker over there educated me that we didn't have a separate account for NNO, it went back into general fund. So with all the leftover funds from, that we raised for National Night Out, for purchasing, we had $1,700 left over. And we're purchasing a new patrol rifle. Our rifles don't match right now, and that's kind of a liability for us. They should all be the same. Because if somebody's got to use a different car and it's a different rifle and it operates differently, there could be an error there. And we want to try to avoid that, so.
After that, any questions for Chief? Hey, back to please call the roll.
Forrest.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Christine. Aye. Marie.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye. All right, the new thing on the agenda, acting on the Little Free Library policy, Bryce.
So moved.
Second. Can we talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, this is the same thing that we've done with the bikes, the kayaks, the other thing that we approved, I forgot what it was. But basically, the city is not liable for little free libraries. There's an entity that wants to donate one before the end of the year and have it installed at Addie Park. So this would essentially empower Cody to approve it instead of them coming to council every time. But if Cody denies it, then they can bring it to council.
So it's like the tubs.
Yeah,
Does this only apply to the little libraries on city property?
yes, if they want to put one up at their house, they can do it.
Makes sense. All right. Any questions for Bryce? Not quick, please call the roll.
Bryce.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Forrest.
Aye.
Christine. Aye. Marie.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, see, we have no operator licenses. Okay. Next then, acting on the financial statement for November of 2025, Forrest.
Motion to approve the financial statement as provided in your package for October 2025.
Second.
Any questions for Forrest? All right, not quick, please call the roll.
Forrest.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Christine.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Marie.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
Next, we're acting on the bills. Forrest.
Motion to approve the bills for November 2025 in the amount of $1,209,709.67.
Second. Any questions for Forrest? All right, not quick, please call the roll.
Forrest.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Christine. Aye. Bryce.
Aye.
Marie.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
All right, entertaining a motion for the next meeting date.
Skip it.
Yeah.
Don't we just always meet the fourth Tuesday?
23rd?
That's the 30th.
No.
It's
No,
gonna be
it's
between Christmas and New
No,
Year's.
that's
the
Oh,
23rd.
I'm sorry, 23rd.
It's the day before Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was hiding.
Everyone wants to keep it? Someone make a motion to keep it 23rd. Don, make a motion.
Second.
Right.
I'll try.
You got it? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Jim.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
Marie.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Forrest.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, December 23rd, 6 PM. Is there a motion to go into close? All right. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, go on.